Risen with Christ, living the Easter virtues with Saint Francis de Sales. Faith that sees beyond, hope that lives, and love that endures forever. Dear friends, Alleluia, Christ is risen. Truly, He is risen. As we bask in the light of Easter morning and echo this victorious cry, let us pause and ponder the spiritual treasures that the resurrection brings us. St. Francis de Sales, the gentle doctor of the Church, invites us to look beyond the alleluias and lilies, to gaze into the heart of Easter, where three radiant virtues, faith, hope, and charity, rise with Christ and transform our souls. Let us walk together through the spiritual insights of St. Francis de Sales and rediscover these Easter virtues that not only renews us during this season, but prepares us for eternal glory. First, faith, the sight that transcends seeing. The apostles were crushed, their dreams shattered, fear locked them away. Then suddenly, the risen Christ appeared, wounds visible, voice familiar, peace pouring forth. St. Francis de Sales notes that Jesus did not merely return to console, but to rekindle faith. His words, "Peace be with you," were more than comfort. They were a call to believe anew. The understanding St. Francis de Sales teaches is the seat of faith. And in this post-resurrection appearance, Christ met their understanding with evidence, His glorified wounds. But then the saint takes us deeper. He says, even when the apostles touched and saw, it was not their senses that believed. It was faith that took root through their senses. What wisdom this holds for us, dear brothers and sisters. In our ministries, doubts may visit us. Challenges may blur our vision. But like the apostles, we are called to believe beyond what we see, trusting in God's promises even in the dark. Faith is the needle that draws the thread of grace into the soul, says Francis de Sales. Let us be ministers who stitch heaven's hope into the fabric of daily life by clinging to this Easter faith. Secondly, hope, the anchor that lifts us. We had hoped, said the disciples on the road to Emmaus, a phrase soaked in sorrow. How often have we heard this in our pastoral encounters? Youths disillusioned, families fractured, religious discouraged, hope lost in the fog of life. St. Francis de Sales paints hope as the virtue of the memory, that sacred space in our souls where God's promises are stored. Hope brings these promises back to life when all seems lost. When Christ appeared to His grieving friends, His wounds became beacons of hope. Look at my hands and my feet, He was saying. What was crucified is now glorified. Your fears do not have the final word. In moments of ministry fatigue or vocational dryness, let us return to this upper room. Let us hear Jesus whisper again, "Peace be with you," and allow Him to restore hope to our hearts. Hope is incompatible with fear, writes St. Francis de Sales. And indeed, when we live rooted in resurrection hope, we fear no failure, no rejection, not even death. Thirdly, charity, the flame that burns forever. Among faith, hope, and love, love is eternal. St. Francis de Sales reflects that in heaven we shall no longer need faith or hope, for we will see and possess God. But charity, the virtue of the will remains forever. When Jesus showed his pierced side, he revealed more than proof of life. He revealed the depth of divine love. The wounds were no longer signs of pain, but tokens of a love stronger than death. The saint beautifully quotes Isaiah. Can a mother forget her infant? Even if she did, I will never forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. This, dear friends, is not poetic, it is personal. Christ carries your name, your sorrows, your vocation engraved upon his risen body. Our mission, then, is to respond to love with love, to let charity animate our service, guide our decisions, soften our judgments, and deepen our community life. Love must be both gentle and ardent, says St. Francis. Not sentimental softness, but a love like Christ's, pierced, risen, and victorious. Fourthly, virtues for the road ahead, lessons from the upper room. The 40 days after Easter were not idle days. Christ used them to teach again, not with parables, but with presence. He led a divine refresher course, how to believe, how to hope, how to love. For priests and religious, these are not optional virtues. They are essentials, as Easter essentials. Our people look to us not only for preaching, but for proof, not only for sacraments, but for signs. They want to see faith that overcomes doubt, hope that endures loss, and love that does not count the cost. Let us then recommit ourselves to these three glorious virtues, deepened by Easter, shaped by Salesian wisdom. Fifthly, the final dawn, a glimpse of glory. St. Francis de Sales concludes his homily with a breathtaking vision. One day, faith will be replaced by sight, hope by possession, but love, perfect love, will remain our eternal joy. He writes, "Grant, good Jesus, that we may accept the peace you offer. May we look upon your wounds with faith, walk in your strength with hope, and burn with your love forever." Let this be our Easter prayer, dear servants of the Lord, that when the trumpet sounds and the dead shall rise, our souls may rise too, clothed in glory, bearing the likeness of the risen Christ. Few takeaways or Easter resolutions. 1. Believe with depth. Let Easter renew your trust in God's plan even when it seems hidden. Secondly, hope with courage. Be unshaken in adversity. Let your memory recall God's past faithfulness. Thirdly, love with fire. Make every gesture of ministry a response to divine love. Fourth, teach by witness. Let your life become the visible theology of faith, hope, and charity. Fifth, prepare for glory. Live today in a way that makes sense in the light of eternity. To conclude, dear friends, the tomb is empty, but our hearts are full. Christ is risen, and with him rise the virtues that make us radiant with his life. Let us go forth, not just as witnesses of the resurrection, but as living signs of faith, hope, and love. May St. Francis de Sales accompany us. May the risen Lord empower us to love always, everywhere, and in everything. Live Jesus.